Hi, my name is Avery. I'm a compulsive overeater. I weigh and measure 3 meals off the gray sheet. I write them down. I call them into my sponsor on time every morning. And I do not eat in between no matter what. And abstinence is the most important thing in my life today. And I can't always say that that was the case. I have been trying to get abstinent in Gray Sheet since 2015. And only since June of this past year was I able to did I have the necessary power to be able to do this through surrender. My first memories are with food, in terms of eating big bags and boxes of things we don't eat on Gray Sheet. I can remember my first memory ever is being 3 years old and eating a huge bag of something we don't eat, and I wasn't full yet, and I thought that was really weird. And so, but that kind of characterized my eating, in that I would eat not for nourishment, not because it necessarily tasted good, not to say the food didn't taste good, but Gray Sheet food in abstinence tastes a million times better than what I was eating. There's no question. But I used it as an emotional backup. There's no other word to say it. I am and was and will always be an emotional eater. What I'm not is an intuitive eater. I am not a let me see what I feel like today eater. I think that's enough eater. I'm not those things. When I start eating certain foods, as they say in Texas, Katie bar the door, it's on. I am going to eat until I get, my desired state was to eat until I got so full it was painful, so that I didn't have to feel what I was feeling and pass out. That's what I did. And I was very thin as a child. I was always the skinniest and the shortest. I'm short. I'm a little thing, but I was always the thinnest and skinniest, or the tiniest kid in my class all the way through high school. Didn't have any signs of being a compulsive eater, but there were other things that took the place of that, in terms of me escaping my feelings. Because at the end of the day, what I am is an emotional escape artist. I don't want to feel pain. I don't want to feel what I'm feeling. And I have a whole repertoire of things that can take me out of what I'm feeling. So food came in and out. It was progressive for me. I did get sober when I was 24 years old. And when I got sober, the food took its own path. I switched seats on the Titanic. That's all I did, in terms of dealing with emotional issues. So with that, I started doing things I never thought I'd do. I was eating off of other people's plates at dinner. People would leave, we'd go out and people would leave the restaurant and I would stay back so I could just eat what was on their plate. I ate out of trash cans. I ate in secret. I would eat before I went to a family meal and eat huge things before I went to a family meal, full or not, hungry or not. I think I ruined so many family dinners because my mother, who's a gourmet cook, would cook these things. And by the time I got there, I was so full I couldn't even eat. Food took over my life, and I tried everything. I tried, you name it, I tried it. Okay. So when I see Oprah on these Weight Watchers commercials, that might be great for other people, but that never worked for me. I did Weight Watchers 10 times. I did Jenny Craig. That food, are you kidding me? That food is trigger food all day long. I'd go through a week's worth of food in 2 days. That was just it's all sugar. Started going to OA back in 99. I could never find a footing in there. That was just me. There were people in OA that had what I wanted. I just couldn't do it the way they did it. There was some very strong people in OA where I was. Not everybody. It wasn't like a Gray Sheet meeting where, everyone seems regulated. But there were people who were able to grasp on to the spiritual principle and not have to moderate the food the way that I eventually had to succumb to moderating my food. So I went to OA, got a sponsor, could never stay abstinent. They said, define it yourself. And I'm like, well, this brain doesn't know how to define abstinence unless you spell it out for me. And say, if you don't do this, you're not part of our club. That works for me. until once I surrender. Before I surrendered, that didn't work for me. I had a real reaction to that, to not feeling included, to not all this. But it's like people got to do their own life, you know, and they can't wait around for me to get abstinent. I know that now. So fast forward, I started to develop real serious health issues with my blood pressure and my cholesterol and my diabetes and all these things. And so I came into Gray Sheet around 2015. And I can't say that I probably got more than a week at a time, maybe. And I'm not even going to say that I was abstinent during that time, not as defined by the Gray Sheet, because I couldn't tell the truth around my food. You know, I was going to do it the way, and I didn't care. Like if you spilled something, just leave it on the floor. I don't have to call anybody. If you didn't take your backup, so what? If you didn't have a scale, oh well. I mean, I just didn't do those things to plan and protect, prepare and protect my abstinence. I didn't do those things. Because in the back of my mind, I still wanted to have that escape hatch, because food was what I believed was the only thing that got me through what I thought I was going through. You know, I had to have that. So, you know, it came to the point where I wrestled back and forth. I did work with people here in Texas that sponsored me for on and off for, you know, years. And I had to have called in 100 day ones, you know, and, you know, this one woman here in Texas, she is a beautiful soul. And every time I called her, she was just happy to hear my voice. And I'd say, okay, I'm going to start over. She goes, okay, give me your food. And she would, you know, take my food. And she's got a lot of time in this program. And she never once said, are you ever going to get this? Or you do that? She'd go, okay, I got it. And then I'd call her back the next day. And then I'd go 2 months. And every single time I talk to her, she has a smile on her face and is just glad to hear my voice, you know? So that was an attractive part for me. I have no judgment on how long it takes somebody to get abstinent or get this deal. It is what it is. It's between you and God, really, because it was between me and my God in order for me to get this done. So fast forward, I started kind of getting out of denial that my health issues were back, slow process, and went to the doctor, had all of the same stuff all over again. And I said, okay, well, I'm just going to kind of try to control. And I tried to do Gray Sheet on my own, like a modified Gray Sheet. I went back a month later and everything was still the same. And I just felt, you know, hopeless. And this, you know, and I guess what I hadn't talked about is how much codependency I had, how much, you know, passive suicidal stuff, not active, but like if I didn't wake up, okay, you know, it's just like life felt bleak, you know, and that wasn't the reality of my situation, but that's how I felt. And I wrestled with those feelings for so long. And so one day I'm standing in line and I got this little, to get like my little combination meal, you know, with the Diet Coke, because that's what we do. And I was in line to get it. And this little thought came to me and it said, if you go back to Gray Sheet, you don't have to worry about anything. And my first thought is, F you, I'm not going back to Gray Sheet. Those people are crazy. No, I'm not. No, you don't. No, I'm not going back to Gray Sheet. However, this other little part of me that said, I'll listen. I'll listen to what they have to say. And within 3 days of that, I was abstinent. And I heard my sponsor, who is now my sponsor, has been my sponsor since day one. She doesn't live in my city, but I heard her on the bridge, on the phone bridge here. And she qualified the only 2 times I got on the bridge, it was the same woman. And she was saying what I had always said about myself. And I called her up, or I texted her and I said, hey, can you sponsor me? I've kind of been in before. And I had already eaten that morning. And because, you know, I didn't know I was going to get struck abstinent. I swear to God, I didn't know. And she calls me up and she says, okay, what are you going to, you know, commit your next 3 meals? And I'm like, oh, she wants to do it like right now. Okay. So I was, okay. I mean, I don't even think I ate my lunch till 5 o'clock because I didn't have stuff, but I had a car. She goes, well, you have a car, don't you? You have money, don't you? You know how to pick out 3 raws, don't you? And I'm like, okay. So, you know, she just didn't, she has never let me off the hook. It doesn't occur to her that I can't do this. It doesn't occur to her that you can't go get the food that you need, you know? and take care of yourself. So anyway, I was abstinent. I had 2 abstinent meals. And then the next day I was been abstinent with the 3 meals, and that's my date. I don't count the day that she called me, even though I had 2 abstinent meals. 5 minutes? Okay. So what has changed? What has changed is that whereas food ruled me before and tainted almost every part of my life, Gray Sheet is now like the focus of my life. So it's like food rules me in a different way. First of all, there is no, for me, there is no, every meal's a 10 if it's abstinent. I don't care. It's like, I do not care. If what you have in front of me is going to keep me abstinent, which means it's going to keep me sane, it's going to keep me safe, it's going to keep me present, I will take it. It does not matter to me. I'm not choosy in that way. There are times that I can cook luxurious meals for myself. Great. But if not, I pre-portion a whole bunch of stuff for lunch, and I grab my little Ziploc with my vegetable substitute, and I'm out the door. So, but I just kind of want to go through some of the, no matter what, you know, just kind of like the basics. When I got abstinent, I ate the same 3 meals for 6 months. That's it. That was it. I ate the same thing for 6 months, and it was delicious, and it was good, and I loved it. I didn't experiment. This was me, and I kept it very, very simple. I figured out what it was. I figured out what I had to get at the grocery store. I picked a day, maybe 2 days. It was an adjustment. It's like if you've ever had a baby, you have to adjust for the baby. I had to adjust for my abstinence. I cleared out a space in my refrigerator that is just mine, and a space in my pantry that is just mine. My family can have all the other ones. They don't want my food, okay? So I don't have to worry about that. But I made space for myself for the first time in my life. I put this as a priority, which meant I put myself as a priority. And some of them, no matter what, I kind of want to go through because they're important. My society isn't set up for me to be on Gray Sheet. I have to be on Gray Sheet and do what I have to do. I've been out of town. I've traveled extensively. Gray Sheet, I've been able to stay Gray Sheet abstinent with no problem. I've paid $30 for breakfast protein before because that's all that was there. I've gotten to work and had to go all the way back for my food. I've interrupted a call. I was on a date and something happened with my food and I'm like, hold that thought. And I just called my sponsor, like right there. He goes, what are you doing? I'm like, just be quiet. I come with 2 kids in a scale. Okay. Just hold on a second. At that same lunch, I forgot my scale. And that is not like me to forget my scale or not have one. So I had to use the restaurant scale and I just asked and they weighed it for me. You know, I've sent food back that's not correct. I've gone without eating at a restaurant and just said, okay, I'll just eat at home. I've weighed at super fancy places. I've weighed in front of my CEO. I've weighed in front of my boss. I've weighed at an airport. I mean, I whip up that scale. Doesn't matter. Now, if I feel like it's not a safe environment for me, then I'm just not going to eat there. You know, I mean, I'm not going to lead with the chin, but I'm going to take care of myself. My food and my abstinence absolutely comes first. That's it, period. I'm not messing with any of that. I carry a vegetable substitute backup, all measured out in different ounces with this and that. I mean, I am prepared for anything, but I also know that if there's a will, there's a way. And I have called my sponsor numerous times saying, what do I do? And that's how I will, if I lose my abstinence, it will not be on a binge. It will be in me not asking for help. It will be me thinking, oh, I got this. I don't have to call her. And then that guilt will eat me, you know, because this is a we program. So for those that are new, make no mistake, I eat with a spatula. I want every single piece of my meal. And so, I mean, I take all of it. The food for me has been the best food I've ever had in my life. It fills me up and I'm not crazy anymore around the food. Today, someone gave me a little Valentine's Day gift. I don't want it. You know, I'll just give it to my kids. It's like the power of the food is not there anymore. But thank God for the surrender. And it's something that I have to do every day. I meditate every day. I do all sorts of stuff too, because when I'm in my emotions, the food calls me and food's not the answer. And thank God I have the sanity to know that today. And with that, I'm just really grateful for my abstinence. Thank you, Jillian, for asking me to share. And with that, I'll pass.